Hey guys, what's up? We are back with some more reactions after dark, and we have like an emergency reaction today because I think I might double down on this one and upload it the same as like the last one. So we just did the Itaewon Halloween video. I don't know if I'm gonna put this before or after. Maybe I'll do this before. So that would make sense. So if you're watching this now, the Itaewon Halloween tragedy video will be going up after this, assuming I upload it ahead of time. Because I already uploaded and recorded that, but I just noticed like 15 minutes ago, Masquerade uploaded a brand new video. So this is hot off the presses, lazy Masquerade video. Three disturbing cases that will make you question humanity. Now I don't know how like kosher it is to react this quickly to something. Like this video again just came out 15 minutes ago. If I record it now and upload it, it'll be up in like 6 hours. Because that's usually I upload things at 6 o'clock of this series at 6 p.m. So the Itaewon will go up at 7-ish, depending on how long this video is. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. Just having like a same day reaction to one of these videos. Again, I don't know if this is not kosher, as people used to say. I don't know if people even say that anymore. Basically, I don't know if this is morally okay to react to something so quickly. But we're gonna see how that goes. It's been a while since we've done Masquerade, right? Because we kind of ran out of content for them. So that's why I'm like, okay, as soon as I saw the video, okay, I have to get in there and react to it now. So we have a double feature today. We got Masquerade and Rotten Mango going up today. Most likely. I'll try to make that appearance on my YouTube channel somehow. Maybe even like double post saying, hella, hey, I'm double posting Reactions After Dark today, so make sure to check that out. Yeah, I think that's all we have to say, because I'm not going to talk about the Itaewon reaction, because if you want to see that, go watch that video in an hour, or however long I change it to be after this one. But we can just start now, but again, yeah, just again, hot off the presses. I technically could have this video go up in an hour, because this video is probably gonna take like an hour or so to record, because this is a 42-minute video. I usually almost double that, so it's gonna be like an 80-minute video. And I can upload that before the typical 6 p.m. deadline, but these videos strictly go up after 6. I will not post them before 6 p.m. my time, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, by the way, it's like 11:35 a.m. in my time right now.
In this episode,
going to be 12
we'll be diving
p.m.
into yet another batch of lesser-known cases from around the world that are bound to leave you questioning your faith in humanity. As if you needed more reasons. But being an Englishman, I have...
Which, that is in the title. It is, the full title is 3 disturbing cases that will make you question humanity, as if you needed more reasons, in parentheses. So it's actually going to be pretty rough to do this, because my tongue is hurting from doing that, almost 3-hour video of the Itaewon video, and now we're going to be doing this as well, so oof.
Humanity. As if you needed more reasons. But being an Englishman, I of course have to talk about the weather first.
Weather?
Though it doesn't feel like it here in Kobe. For most of you, summer's already here. That means longer days and louder playlists.
Guessing this
Whether
is
you're planning to soak up the sun with your favorite music and pop.
Yeah, I guess this is just an ad. F for break on. Again, haven't had these, I've never used them. Specifically the little earbuds that they used to have. I've never used them, haven't used any of these either. I mean, I don't have the money to do that, but still. I do need headphones. Like, I'm like... Actually, this gives me time to talk about the headphones thing, because I'm using, like, trash headphones, but I feel like over the last decade or two, headphones have just been, like, trash headphones have become even trashier, and then good headphones have become trash. Like, they all sound so bad. Like, I don't understand. Like, I cannot get a good pair, even when I buy like an expensive pair. I mean, they also just break too. So,
For under $100? That's rare.
like the material it's made out of breaks, not necessarily the insides of the headphone, but the material breaks, and then they just don't sit on your head anymore. So,
If you want to brighten up your summer with premium audio while helping to support the channel, now's a great time to grab a pair yourself. Head to buy.
like, are there any like headphones out there that are made of like what is it called? Antianium? What is it called? Or the stuff that freaking Wolverine's made out of? I don't remember what it's called. Like, I need some strong, heavy-duty headphones that will not break to anything. They can get ran over and they won't break, and they actually sound good, and not like someone's inside of a freaking tin can. Like, everything sounds like it's in a tin can. It drives me crazy.
/Masquerade15 or scan my QR code on screen now to get 15% off Raycon's best-selling headphones. Brought to you.
Like, I'm literally crashing out over the fact that all these headphones are just trash.
By Raycon.
It is driving me crazy. Party monster.
In the 80s and early 90s, New York City's nightlife scene pulsed with neon, glitter, and rebellious energy. At the center of it all were the club kids, a group of flamboyant partygoers who blurred the line between performance art and public spectacle. Leading them was Michael Alec, a charismatic promoter who transformed underground raves into headline-grabbing events.
Okay, so this is probably what they all look like. We had those, like the video before this, but I'm guessing that wasn't B-roll. Like, couldn't tell if that was B-roll, but no, that is, I'm guessing these guys, actual video footage of these guys.
But beneath the chaos and color, something much darker was brewing. Michael Alec was born on April 29, 1966, in South Bend, Indiana. After his parents' divorce, Michael's early life was marked by a sense of otherness. He was a bright student, graduating near the top of his class, but he faced relentless bullying due to his homosexuality.
Okay.
Seeking acceptance and freedom, he moved to New York City in 1984 to attend
84. Would it still been fine there? Question mark. Like, would he still have been okay there?
Fordham University, later transferring to the Fashion Institute of Technology. There, Michael quickly embedded himself in Manhattan's underground club scene. He started out as a busboy at Danceteria, but soon made his name as a promoter at The Limelight, a deconsecrated church turned nightclub where customers flocked to worship live acts like Marilyn Manson, Grace Jones, and Cyndi Lauper. With the owner's backing, Michael created themed events that pushed boundaries and packed dance floors.
When was this? Because he mentioned Marilyn Manson, like...
Michael quickly embedded himself in Manhattan's underground club scene. He started out as a busboy at Danceteria, but soon made his name as a promoter at The Limelight, a deconsecrated church turned nightclub where customers flocked to worship live acts like Marilyn Manson, Grace Jones, and Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is like the 90s, but was Marilyn Manson around in the 80s?
With the owner's backing, Michael created themed events that pushed boundaries and packed dance floors. He formed a tribe of creative misfits known as the Club Kids, a hardcore group of 24-hour party people with members such as DJ Kyoki, Richie Rich, Jenny Talia, Michelle Visage, and even RuPaul. There are videos on YouTube of people doing excellent deep dives into Michael Alec's psychology.
What is that? And the Freudian death drive, what is that?
Highlighting how he had a histrionic personality. It's no wonder then that while most of the members saw Club Kids as a safe space to have fun and be creative, Michael saw it as a means of transformation. To go from being a shy, quiet boy forced to live in the shadows and become something else entirely. A louder-than-life, attention-seeking monster. The Club Kids were as decadent as they were outrageous, and quickly became known for their elaborate, often grotesque costumes.
Yeah, sure. They said 24-hour party thing or whatever. Like, are they seriously just partying 24/7? Like, isn't that tiring? Like, partying to begin with, it's just like, oof. But like, really, you doing this 24/7? 7 days a week, 365 a year. Like really, I feel like this is gonna get exhausting, like almost instantly, and you're just gonna be over it so quickly.
And their
I get unless you're hopped up on drugs, maybe.
outrageous, and quickly became known for their elaborate, often grotesque costumes, and their mission to blur art, fashion, and nightlife into one disorienting experience. Together, they threw so-called outlaw parties. Dressed in costumes, they would storm public spaces like Burger King, Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, ATM vestibules, and even the New York City subway, blasting music from boomboxes and dancing until the police showed up. In one instance, Michael threw a party in a makeshift shantytown, paying the homeless residents in crack.
Really? I was gonna say we're just being like a public menace, but like really giving crack to the homeless. Like they already have it bad enough as is, man. Like really, got to give them a crack too to make everything even worse for them. Get them addicted to crack, and then waste all their money on crack from that point on. Like come on.
Indeed, drugs were a constant presence.
That's what I said. That's what I thought. Like, you really gonna be partying 24/7 without drugs? Not that I've ever done drugs, but I would assume if you're on drugs the entire time, you're just not gonna be thinking about anything else but partying, probably. It's like you'll actually be able to tank how miserable it would possibly be for partying that long.
Both as a law for patrons and a staple for the club kids' own chaotic lifestyles. By the late 80s, Michael had supplanted Andy Warhol as a leading New York partier.
Okay, so the late 80s. So I guess Marilyn Manson was just around in the 80s? Question mark. I don't know how long he's been around. I wouldn't have assumed that. I would have thought it was like the late 90s, early 2000s.
But as he rose to notoriety,
Like when he first came around.
Michael had supplanted Andy Warhol as a leading New York partier. But as he rose to notoriety, his antics escalated. He became known for urinating on guests and in their drinks, for throwing $100 bills onto packed dance floors to watch people fight for them.
I mean, sure, whatever with about the money, but like really urinating on people. That's what you're into?
And for pratfalling into clubgoers, knocking them to the ground.
What did you say?
Watch people fight for them. And for pratfalling into clubgoers.
Pratfalling? Practical falling, maybe? This is just throwing himself at people and having them get knocked over from it, I'm guessing.
Knocking them to the ground. Being a fan of horror movies, he and his cohort also hosted a blood feast themed event and decorated the limelight with fake severed limbs. In time, the club kids became talk show fodder, appearing on shows like Geraldo and The Joan Rivers Show. But behind the glitter was addiction. And to put things in a YouTube-friendly way, Michael began using E, H, and special K regularly.
Okay, E, I'm guessing is ecstasy. H was heroin. Special K.
Friendly way, Michael began using E,
Yeah, ecstasy.
H,
Heroin.
and special K.
Special K. Oh, we're not using C. Is K ketamine? Question mark? Is that what it is? Hold on, let me check. Yeah, I just looked up to make sure that ketamine was a drug, and I think it technically is. So I'm guessing that's what he's saying here. It's those three. Though he doesn't want to say them to not get in trouble, so I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble, but I don't know if it doesn't matter. I'm not monetized or anything, so if I would have got demonetized for that, it doesn't matter. I can't get monetized anyway, so I can say whatever I want.
K.
So I'll say it for him. Ecstasy, heroin, and ketamine.
Regularly. Around that same time, he grew close to a young drug dealer named Andre Melendez, better known by his party moniker, Angel, so nicknamed for the feathered wings that he wore as part of his signature look. Angel, hoping to be embraced as a fully fledged club kid, often gave Michael substances at a discount, and eventually ended up moving into his Riverbank apartment on West 43rd Street.
Why do we have, like, doxing? Like, Google Maps? Accurate depiction of this person's house? Hello?
But their friendship deteriorated.
Masquerade loves using this dollar bill, this destroy dollar bill, to yell smoke through it. He loves using this stock B-roll.
To Riverbank apartment on West 43rd Street. But their friendship deteriorated as Michael sank deeper into addiction and racked up a significant amount of debt. On March 17th, 1996.
Okay, we're at 96. Let me just cut real quick. I was just making sure something was right.
Angel confronted Michael over unpaid drug money. Michael's other roommate and fellow club kid, Robert Riggs, aka Freeze, was also present. According to court testimony and Freeze's own confession, the argument inside the apartment erupted and escalated into violence, with Michael calling out for help. Freeze struck Angel in the head with a hammer 3 times, after which Michael tried to suffocate him with a pillow.
Back. I mean, you already, slammed him in the head with a hammer 3 times, and now you're trying to suffocate him too? You already got him out. I guess you just don't want to pay the drug money. What are you going to do after that? Go to jail? That's going to be any better? I mean, maybe they were on drugs, of course. I mean, we're talking about drugs right now, so...
According to Michael's own testimony, he also filled a syringe with Drano and injected Angel with it.
What are y'all doing? Struck him in the head 3 times, tried to suffocate him, and then injected him with a deadly chemical? Hello? What is wrong with you guys? The drugs have definitely melted their brains.
Then poured Drano down his throat.
And you're making him drink it.
And stuffed a rag in his mouth before duct taping it shut.
I mean, you put a rag in his mouth and closed it, but he still has a nose.
He would later retract those details.
Wait, what? He retracted them?
Angel passed from the hammer strikes, the chemicals, or asphyxiation remains unclear.
Okay, so he did end up dying either way. Because I was like, oh, he's telling the story as if somehow he survived all this, but there's no way. I mean, maybe the hammer strikes, maybe the asphyxiation, of course, the mouth being taped because he still has a nose. But the chemicals into the veins is you're just dead. There's no coming back. That's a 100% guarantee. All the other ones, even if they were 99%, this will a chance to survive, minus maybe chugging the chemicals. But that might also be 100%. But into the veins, that's 100%. You're done.
Once he was well and truly gone, though, the 2 killers stored his body in the bathtub. Michael.
How long is that going to stay?
Covered Angel in baking soda, while the appropriately named Freeze filled the tub with ice. The pair then went right back to their substances.
I mean, is Freeze doing this on the regular if he just has ice ready to fill up a bathtub?
A week later,
I mean, I guess he could have gone to a 7-Eleven or something and got a bunch of bags of ice. Can you even still get bags of ice? Just go to the store and just get a whole bag of ice.
Stench from the bathroom had become unbearable. Freeze gave Michael 10 bags of H in exchange for dismembering the corpse.
Where did you get the heroin to begin with? This is also stock footage that he's used before. Where did you get all that H from after killing your dealer? Hello? Where are you getting it now from? Unless you just were hoarding it, and that's why you didn't want to pay, because it was such a incredibly high fine that you have accumulated from how much stuff you were stocking and hoarding.
Michael, who agreed to the deal, in exchange for dismembering the corpse. Michael, who agreed to the deal, cut off Angel's legs and packed them into a duffel bag.
Wait, hold on. Was it Freeze who gave... Well, roll me back. Was it Freeze that gave him the drugs?
Filled the tub with ice. The pair then went right back to their substances. A week later, the stench from the bathroom had become unbearable. Freeze gave Michael...
Okay, he said Freeze.
10 bags of H.
I thought he was saying Michael gave Freeze the 10. If it's the other way around, sure, okay, fine, because we don't know what Freeze is doing. So that's fine. So Freeze gave him the heroin.
In exchange for dismembering the corpse. Michael, who agreed to the deal, cut off Angel's legs and packed them into a duffel bag, which he threw into a dumpster outside. The torso was placed in a box, which they sealed tightly and dumped in the Hudson River. In the weeks that followed, Michael continued partying and began confessing to people that he had killed Angel.
Okay, so legs off in just some dumpster. Like, people are not going to find that. Torso in the water may dissolve into nothing, may not. But what do you mean by torso? Does arms and head still attached to that? I would assume so, because at least he cut the legs off. At least he cut the limbs off, but where's the arms?
Going so far as to scrawl the word guilty on his forehead, and accidentally making slip-ups during press interviews.
He was one of those copycats that we killed him. I killed Angel, and that's the kind of thing that gets me in trouble.
Friends assumed that he was simply attention-seeking, as per usual, and that was definitely true. So were his confessions. It's clear a part of Michael wanted to be caught, if only.
Yeah, so we'd just be like, just say it on public television.
Because it would put his name on everyone's lips. Still, time passed without incident, and despite being so open about his actions, Michael no doubt thought that he had gotten away with everything. That is, until a group of children found a box washed up on Staten Island.
Okay, well, we have found the torso, and it was children on top of that, so that's not good.
They opened it, and were greeted by the sight of a legless torso. The body remained unidentified for months, partly because the coroner misidentified the ethnicity, but also because of poor inter-borough communication. Meanwhile, Village Voice published a blind item alleging that Michael Alec was responsible for Angel's demise. In November 1996, Angel was finally identified through dental records, and the police began to take Michael Alec's boasts seriously. But before they could arrest him, he fled. He was found hiding in a motel in Toms River, New Jersey.
He looks normal. He doesn't have any of his makeup on or anything crazy. He just looks like a normal dude.
And was taken into custody on December 5th, 9 long months after the slaying. Freeze was arrested soon after. The authorities were initially hesitant to charge Michael, as they wanted him to testify against his old boss, who had allowed employees to sell substances at the lighthouse, but public pressure twisted their arm. Despite claiming to have little memory of the event due to the drugs that they were on, both men took a plea deal, pled guilty to first-degree manslaughter, and were sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison.
Plea deal for what, though? What were they trying to get out of them?
With their reputation now in tatters, the club kids soon disbanded. Michael Alec's time behind bars was marked by instability. He was placed in solitary confinement for using substances because he found prison life too boring without them, and reportedly spent 5 years in isolation, where he wrote his memoirs, Aligula. Despite being in prison, he remained in the public eye, giving interviews and even dictating tweets through friends. He was denied parole twice, in part because of a failed drug test. But
getting drugs in prison, really? We're still doing this? But still, he was giving out tweets. What year is it that he's tweeting? When was Twitter made? He went to jail in 96. 20 years from then is, 10 years ago, I think. So still, he should have been out by now, unless he's dead, question mark. Because the way he's talking, it seems like Michael's been dead this entire, Michael's dead. But I don't know, because I don't know anything about this guy, somehow. When did he start tweeting? Was this in the 2010s? Was Twitter around in the double O's? I don't remember that. You obviously had MySpace and maybe Facebook eventually, but did we have Twitter in the double O's?
But also because parole officers had seen the 2003 film Party Monster, a dramatization of Michael's life starring Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, I was wondering if that's Macaulay. It looks like Macaulay. I was like, wait, Macaulay was part of these guys? But this is just a movie.
Finally, on May 5th, 2014.
It's 2014, so again, this is nearly 20 years later.
Michael was released on probation after serving 17 years. He tried to re-enter society, pursuing a career as an artist and
And just making art of himself, it seems, from back then. And some other weird stuff.
Media personality. He exhibited paintings, and even released a song. Yet his return to public life was controversial to say the least.
It still feels like we're getting to the point of him that he's not around anymore.
Critics questioned whether he truly felt remorse, or whether he was simply capitalizing on his notoriety. Those question marks only multiplied when he'd say things like this during interviews.
I mean, what a nice place to dump a disposable body.
Oof.
Oh, a great job. We should come back every year. You make we should throw another body. We should throw a body over here.
Though he'd later brush this off as a dark joke, if you ask me, it's clear Michael hadn't used those years in solitary to reflect on his actions.
I mean, obviously people would say it's insensitive. Obviously, I mean, you killed a guy, and that guy is still dead, and you're joking about the guy that you killed.
Chose to use Angel's demise as a way to increase his own profile. All that's to say, if he couldn't have fame, he'd settle for infamy. On Christmas Eve, 2020, Michael Alec fatally overdosed in his Manhattan apartment at the age of 54. His passing marked the end of a tumultuous life that had both captivated and horrified New York.
Okay, so, like I was saying, how this story was being read, it sounded like he wasn't around anymore, so he did overdose, which means he possibly didn't try to die, he just was doing too much drugs, been addicted to drugs too long, and just took one too many one night.
Michael's story isn't just a tale of excess or tabloid-ready scandal. He was a man who mistook notoriety for significance, one who left behind a legacy that remains as controversial as it is cautionary. While Michael's actions were unforgivable, his life serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked indulgence and the human capacity for not only reinvention, but also self-destruction.
Yeah, again, I've never heard about this guy before, or the Party Monsters, but that's probably just because I haven't seen that movie with Macaulay Culkin in it. So we have the Cannibal cult now.
Once you join us, there's no getting out. Anyone who betrays the gang will be executed.
I mean, that's like just standard gang rhetoric, right?
I'll sleep with my chest exposed. If you want to leave, stab me in the heart. If you can't do that, I'll hunt you to the edge of hell. Such were the words of Kim Gi-hwan as he addressed the 6 men sat in the seedy poker den with him.
Were the words, but I mean, that's not enough to know if this guy's still around.
This band of desperados hadn't just met to play cards, but to start a class revolution. To stamp out societal rot. To form the Chijongpa, a cult-like group of cannibal revolutionaries for whom eat the rich wasn't a slogan.
Okay, I was gonna say, is this a really eat the rich thing? Like, who are they gonna eat? That's like supposed to be revolutionary, so they literally mean that they're gonna eat them.
But a very literal order, and a smorgasbord of innocent lives were on the menu. But to begin, we need to take a trip back in time.
Is that after they were caught? Because they seem to not necessarily like super roughed up, but they look, their faces are kind of bruised. Unless it's just blood, dried blood from main cannibals.
South Korea. Today, an economic and cultural powerhouse. But that hasn't always been the case.
More South Korea stuff today, since again, I already watched the Itaewon Halloween tragedy from Rotten Mango. I think she typically does South Korea stuff because she is. I assume she's Korean. So I guess we're getting double Korean stories today.
In the 1950s and 60s, it ranked among the poorest countries on Earth. The Korean War had left the peninsula shattered. Cities leveled, families displaced, and an economy on life support. Foreign aid kept the nation afloat, while political chaos and military regimes gripped the government. There were no exports to speak of, little in the way of industry, and hunger was widespread. But then came the 1970s, and things began to shift, quickly. Under a state-led economic model, the government
Yeah, I don't have like a good understanding of South Korean history. I don't know if we're ever taught that in school. So I don't know how bad it was before the 70s. Did not know that.
Government poured resources into infrastructure, heavy industry, and education. Steel, shipbuilding, and electronics became national obsessions. By the 80s, the once rundown nation was filled with neon-lit cities, sprawling highways, and booming factories, all of which were on full display at the 1988 Seoul Olympics. It was then that South Korea became a symbol of speed and success. The middle class was expanding. People were getting rich, fast. But the rural working class? Many were left in the dust. Among them was Kim Gi-hwan, a bright student from a poor family in Pulgab. After losing his father as a toddler, Gi-hwan grew up in poverty, often going hungry and attending school in ragged clothes. Still, he excelled academically and showed potential in both writing and sports. Yet, despite his talents, Gi-hwan was forced to drop out of school in his teens to support his sick mother and brother. He took various factory and coal mining jobs, eventually moving to Seoul in the early 90s, where the widening wealth gap hid him like a glob of spit from a penthouse balcony.
Very specific description there, Masquerade.
Yappies were parading around in designer clothes, and luxury cars filled the streets. It was then that Gi-hwan realized just how little he had, and just how lowly he was perceived by those who passed him by. The dirty peasant in sweat-stained overalls, sleeping on the street after a 16-hour shift. That experience hardened Gi-hwan, but it wasn't until he learned that universities were selling poor students' placements to the wealthy that his bitterness consumed him.
Poor students' places to the wealthy. So they were just getting rid of people, like poor students, they're just kicking them out. And obviously just putting in the people who actually can afford getting into college. I mean, unfortunately, this is how it is, right? Just, you have to pay to get in. You can't just get in for free, which I'm not saying that's a good thing. Like, that's not a good thing that you can't get in for free. But, I mean, you have scholarships and stuff like that, but still. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would say education all around should be free, but it's just, I guess it just requires a lot of money. Like, not just K through 12, like even college should be free.
In his eyes, society was devolving, and thus he returned home with a plan. To start a gang, a brotherhood with rules, a code, and a purpose.
Oh, so is this the ringleader? I mean, wasn't going to assume that, but I mean, this story is really long, so we could be getting everybody's backstory. But maybe this is the ringleader.
To punish the rich. In April 1993, at an underground poker game, Gi-hwan joined forces with fellow fanatics Kang Dong-un, Kim Hyun-yang, Kang Moon-seop, Moon Sang-rok, Baek Byung-ok, and Song Bong-woo.
It's quite a lot of people.
This motley crew all shared a few things in common. They all worked low-paying jobs due to a lack of education and past criminal convictions, were all deep in debt due to gambling habits, and crucially, all resented those who had more than them. Around that table,
it's a bit like too on the nose with that stock B-roll there, Masquerade.
Men vowed to cleanse Korea of its filth. All those who live well, eat well, and walk around with an air of arrogance. After forming their pact, they drew up a list of 3 unbreakable rules. Hate the rich. Kill all traitors. Never trust a woman.
Okay, just that one's out of nowhere. That's out of left field. Like, where did that come from? We were just talking about hating like the class divide ? And then you're just gonna throw, yeah, just don't trust women out of nowhere.
Not even your own mother.
Not even your own mother? What? Where is that coming from? So I think there is supposed to be some sort of issue with South Korea and that kind of stuff, but I guess it was even bad back then? ? In the 90s? I mean, if it was that bad back then I guess that would make sense if it's like really bad now.
originally.
I don't actually know if that's true or not, though. Just what I've heard-ish in passing, but I have no clue on what's really going on over there right now.
Gihuan, who fancied himself an intellectual, named this new crew Mascan, thinking it was the Greek word for ambition. Any Hellenic viewers are probably having a good laugh right now, since Mascan doesn't actually mean anything in Greek. He likely confused it with the Arabic word Maskan, which means something like house or residence. Given that languages clearly weren't their strong suit, this new gang later rebranded as Chichonpa, which translates to the rather unambitious name Supreme Gangsters.
Yeah, pretty cringe. That's very like elementary school, middle school nonsense of a name.
To prepare for their uprising, the group set a goal: to raise 1 billion won through kidnapping and extortion. They would then use that money, which converted to about $1.2 million, to expand their operation and go on a rampage, mowing down the privileged and educated.
So kidnap a bunch of people who are probably just having as hard as a time as you, just so you can get back at the rich. So hurts your peers to get back at the rich.
But they all agreed that they'd need their first taste of blood in a more controlled environment. On July 18th that year, a 23-year-old bank clerk named Choi Mija was abducted under a train line in Nonsan. Mija, a farmer's daughter who had no affiliation with the group, had been selected completely at random as a practice run.
Okay, again, just hurting anybody. You just don't care. I mean, she's also a woman, so I mean, there is that. Probably just doing it because of that third line, that third rule.
The boys brought her to Mount Jilasan, the nation's second tallest mountain, which they used for endurance training. There, they forced themselves upon her. Once they had finished, Gihuan calmly began his lesson. "I'll now show you all how to kill." He then personally strangled Mija in front of his followers.
So, acting as if he's killed before, but we don't really actually know that. Like, we haven't heard about him killing other people, but he's acting in this moment as if he has killed before, and thus has to show them how to do it. But has he killed other people at this point in his life?
They left Mija's body there on the mountain, and though it was discovered soon after, her slaying wasn't initially linked to the Chichonpa.
They didn't eat her? They just... Isn't that their whole point? Or they just meant the taste of, like, killing?
From the very beginning, it was clear that this rabble of hypocrites were only masquerading as a band of Robin Hoods.
Yeah, clearly.
When in reality, they were a bunch of robbing gecks. Nothing more than death cultists, motivated not by principles, but bloodlust. That is, with one exception. After taking Mija's life, the youngest recruit, 18-year-old Song Bong-gu, was dogged with guilt and claimed to see her ghost in his dreams. He quickly realized that this wasn't the life he had signed up for, and desperately wanted out. And so, in August 1993, he withdrew 3 million won from the group's treasury and tried to flee.
Okay, well, they said they are going to kill you if you do this, so that's not good.
He didn't get far though, and was found hiding at his parents' house just 2 hours later. The rest of the group knocked on his door and pretended to forgive his little indiscretion. Coercing, or perhaps intimidating him into their vehicle, they drove him back to Mount Jilasan under the pretense of a reconciliation dinner. Once there,
the dinner is going to be him, I'm assuming, if it's a reconciliation dinner.
Gihuan reminded his subordinates about those pesky rules that they had all agreed to. And what was rule number 2 again? How did it go? Oh, that's right. Traitors must be killed. Gihuan didn't need to give any commands. He watched silently as his obedient followers, now all armed with pickaxes that they had hidden on the mountain, surrounded Bong-gu and began taking chunks out of him. His body was mutilated beyond recognition.
Yeah, I don't know how, I've never even thought about how much damage a pickaxe would do to somebody if you can actually hit them with it. Like, what is that even going to end up looking like?
Then burned and secretly buried. The remaining members had passed their loyalty test and celebrated by roasting a stray dog. Gihuan.
They're eating the dog? Again, where's the cannibalism? You've killed a woman, you didn't eat her. Just killed a traitor, didn't eat him. You're just eating dogs? Like, hello?
One joked that they had put 2 dogs down that day. As their operations grew, the Chijompa pooled their wages, sold stolen goods, and stocked up on vehicles, guns, and explosives. They transformed Gi-hwan's mother's house into a base, complete with reinforced walls, underground secret rooms, makeshift prison cells, and an incineration chamber. To their oblivious neighbors, it was just a quirky remodel. Inside, though, it was a slaughterhouse. After finishing their twisted renovation, Kim Gi-hwan would end up being arrested and given a 5-year prison sentence, but not on homicide charges as you might assume. You see, the night before claiming Mija's life, he had SA'd a middle schooler.
What? He's only getting 5 years for that? Hello? Like, what are we supposed to say about that? How are they being allowed to do all this crazy stuff? What?
His friend's niece.
What? I wish the model would have actually tracked, because I immediately just, like, went back like that on that one. Like, what? Not only a middle schooler, but also your what?
Life. He had SA'd a middle schooler. His friend's niece.
Okay, friend's niece, not his own family, but still. Like, hello? What is this story?
Gi-hwan
In viewer discretion advised, obviously. It's on the thumbnail, but still.
continued directing the gang's activities from prison, ordering them to exact revenge on the police station that brought him in. But to do so, they'd need more funds and more practice. On September 7th, 1994, the gang noticed a Hyundai Grandeur passing through Yangsuri. The vehicle, which they considered a luxury model, obviously belonged to someone extremely wealthy.
I was wondering what he meant by whatever those combinations of words were, but he was talking about a car.
And so, they used their own trucks to block the sedan's path. The Chijompa then tied up and gagged the 2 occupants, 26-year-old Lee Son-young and her 36-year-old boyfriend, Lee Jong-won. They then drove them back to their cremation room for questioning. But during their interrogation, the group realized that they had made a huge mistake.
Which is?
The couple weren't wealthy at all. Son-young.
Like, they care? They clearly haven't cared this entire time, so why do they care now? Like, they're just criminals. They're just doing bad stuff to do bad stuff.
Made a huge mistake. The couple weren't wealthy at all. Son-young worked in a cafe, and Jong-won was a struggling bandmaster. Their car, it turned out, was an older model, which they had purchased second-hand. Frustrated, the gang made Jong-won consume copious amounts of alcohol, then placed a plastic bag over his head, and forced his girlfriend, Son-young, to help strangle him. Through tears, she placed her hand over his mouth as the others laughed, though of course, she didn't actually apply any pressure. And so, with tasers in hand, the Chijompa shocked the life out of Jong-won, leaving several burn marks on his body. Days later, they drove the couple's Grandeur to a ravine, placed Jong-won's body in the driver's seat, and pushed the vehicle over the edge. When the mangled car was discovered the next day, investigators smelt the booze emanating off Jong-won's body and assumed that he had crashed while intoxicated. As for his girlfriend,
just immediately not going to look at his body to see if any foul play. She's like, oh yeah, he drunk drive to death.
Son-young.
Pretty sure we don't even want to hear what happened to her.
She was kept as a prisoner in the group's hideout.
Yep.
For their own personal amusement.
Of course.
On September 13th, the Chijompa captured yet another couple, Soyuno and his wife, Pak Min.
Okay, older people. They look, if this is them, they look like they probably have money, because they're wearing suits. She has pearls, so maybe these people are wealthy, what they're looking for. But again, they're just criminals. They're just doing bad stuff to anybody they find. Like the literally out of a story, like just random like fiction, yeah, fiction that you see, like maybe anime or movies, television, etc. They're literally just bad guys, like serious bad guys from like a dark show or something. Except they're actually doing this stuff in real life. Like you're actually hearing it happen in real life, rather than just it not being real. Like you wouldn't assume people actually are going around doing this stuff in real life.
Whom they had found paying respects at a cemetery. Unlike their last targets though, Yuno did have some money. He was the president of the Samjeong Machinery Company. But the business was a modest one, which he had built from the ground up, and he was still repaying debts associated with his factory's acquisition. Back at their hideout, the gang rigged Yuno's car with dynamite and sent him to collect a ransom of 100 million won, roughly $260,000. Unable to get his hands on that much cash, the businessman called one of his colleagues and told him to get 80 million ready by any means necessary, pretending he needed it for urgent medical treatment. When he went to pick it up, Yuno whispered to his colleague, "I've been kidnapped. Don't follow me."
Okay. Don't follow him. What does he want him to do then? So he's told someone he's been kidnapped, but not going... But don't want him to be followed. I mean, obviously, if he gets followed, they're just gonna get him too, but... Like, what does he want? I mean, other than, I guess he wants him to tell the cops? But, I mean, if they notice that he did that, they might end up killing whoever he's talking to.
That colleague immediately notified the police about
Okay, cool.
the unfolding situation, but officers fumbled the response.
Really? Also, I wish the model was keeping up because I went like this. Like, really? Again? Because spoilers for the, well, I'm not going to say spoilers for the Itanwan one, but the cops kind of were goofing in the Itanwan tragedy as well. So here we go again, the cops goofing.
Bouncing the case between jurisdictions and not following up on the report. Yuno returned to the hideout with the ransom, expecting to exchange it for his wife's life, but the group had a manifesto to stick to. After handing her a powerful air rifle, the members forced their prisoner, Son Young, to execute Yuno with a shot to the head.
Would that have enough force to kill a person? How much force are we saying this air rifle has? I was assuming we're taking up like an airsoft gun, but like juiced up? Is that actually enough to kill the person? I mean, I guess so, if we're going to say he actually died to that.
His wife, Pak Min, was subsequently butchered with an axe. Their bodies were then dismembered and reportedly served at a neighborhood barbecue mixed with pork.
Okay, so there's some cannibalism there.
The gang justified the cannibalism as a ritual to help renounce their humanity, and they forced Son Young to consume the flesh of those that she had been made to kill.
Okay, she's just like... Oof. She's basically just in hell at this point, right?
Now emboldened, the gang sought a more efficient way to target the wealthy. They purchased a VIP customer list from a former credit sales staffer at Hyundai, complete with full names and addresses. This became their hit list. But thankfully, their downfall came before they could start crossing off names. Over the 8 days that she had been locked in their dungeon, Son Young had been working her charm on one of the Chichonpa members.
Okay, we got a clever one.
The cult's token incel, 22-year-old Hyun Yang.
Token incel? Is that where the don't trust women rule came from, this guy?
You may recall the group's third rule, never trust a woman. Well, that had been suggested by Hyun Yang himself.
Yeah, that's what I assumed right now. Because it just felt like it came out of nowhere from what we were talking about before with just hating the rich. Though again, they haven't abided by that at all. They've only been killing people, like innocent people.
He had become resentful of all females when, after the loss of his father, his mother began dating his old man's best friend. Although a misogynist, psychologists say that he actually craved motherly love and projected that onto Son Young. Despite being his prisoner, he always addressed Son Young respectfully as Miss E, shared personal stories with her on multiple occasions, and had been the one to advocate for her life when his comrades wanted to slay her. Being a smart woman, Son Young feigned Stockholm Syndrome, treating Hyun Yang with kindness, biding her time and waiting for an opportunity to escape. And that opportunity came on September 16th, 1994.
Okay, so 94. So not too much time is passing. So this kind of all started in 93, right? So we're still 94.
When, during dynamite training, Hyun Yang injured his hand.
Where are you doing dynamite training? Hello? You just doing this? No one's noticing you blowing stuff up? The loud noises from that? Like, hello?
Son Young consoled him and asked to accompany him to the hospital. There, something strange happened. Hyun Yang gave Son Young 500,000 won, around $700 in today's money, as well as a mobile phone. He then asked her, "Do you want to run away? Do you want to escape? Now's your chance." He also reminded her that she was technically an accessory to their crimes, and in the eyes of the law, was just as guilty as the rest of them. Whether this was a way to mock her, or a genuine act of mercy, is debatable, though experts seem to believe this was merely a test. That Hyun Yang truly believed his new mummy had been successfully indoctrinated. What he was too stupid to understand, though, was that Son Young was far more mentally strong than the whole of the Chijongpa combined. While Hyun Yang was being treated, Son Young fled the hospital, took a taxi, and escaped. But freedom didn't come easy. Son Young told the driver to step on it, saying that she was being chased by gangsters. Bizarrely, the driver casually mentioned that he knew all the local thugs, a statement which terrified Son Young. She of
What do you say to that?
course feared that he may be part of the Chijongpa. As such, she asked to be dropped off at a nearby vineyard. Using the phone that she had been given, she tried to contact the police, but was repeatedly brushed off, with multiple officers telling her that she wasn't in their jurisdiction and should call someone else.
Like, what is with this jurisdiction nonsense? Why are they always doing this? Was there any like a jurisdiction nonsense in the Itaewon case as well? Again, you're gonna have to watch that after this, because that's going up after this. So the video might not even be up yet. If you're watching this the minute it goes live. But yeah, are they doing some jurisdiction nonsense in the Itaewon case too? Like, what is with the South Korean police?
Son Young persuaded the vineyard owner to let her rent a car and drove all the way to Daejeon. Worried that the gang would follow, she then switched to a taxi and travelled to Seoul, where she went directly to the Seocho police station and reported everything. Initially, officers dismissed her story, believing her to be a babbling drug addict.
What is going on with the South Korean police department? Why are they so bad?
But when Son Young mentioned how her lover had been tasered, one senior detective recalled the suspicious burn marks that they had found on John.
They did look at his body. Okay. They didn't completely write it off as a crash. They at least saw the electrocution marks.
Tasered. One senior detective recalled the suspicious burn marks that they had found on Jung-won's body.
Keyword, senior detective. He's been around here for a while, so he's maybe trying to do his job.
And at long last, the authorities mobilized. On September 17th, the gang recruited Lee Kyung-soo, Dong-yoon's girlfriend, to fill the empty spot in their ranks and fulfill the cooking and cleaning duties. Bad timing for her, as by September 19th, she and the rest of the Chijongpa were arrested. Lucky timing for the cops, as Hyun Yang, who had just disgraced himself by letting Son Young escape, was preparing to blow himself apart with stacks of dynamite. The raid on their hideout uncovered their full arsenal of weapons, as well as the cooked remains of their victims.
Yeah, so we have some knives, some pickaxes, whatever the heck is going on the left
Then the
side.
body incinerator. Each member of the group was charged with 5 counts of murder. Since investigators barely spent a week looking into the case after the arrests, it's entirely possible that there were more victims we still don't know about. As you can imagine, a media circus ensued, with the newspapers referring to the group as South Korea's Manson family. The gang members themselves showed no remorse, telling the media that society was to blame for their rampage. One claimed that he wished he had butchered more. Another bragged about enjoying the taste of human flesh. Prior to their trial, the IQ scores of the Chijunpa were revealed. All of them scored in the low 90s, with the exception of leader Kim Gi-hwan, who scored over 100. Though far from a genius, some speculate that Gi-hwan exploited his slightly higher intelligence to manipulate the others.
Sure, I mean, there's no reason not to believe that.
In fact, some prison inmates and guards later remarked that except for Gi-hwan, the rest of the crew were shockingly naive and simple-minded.
I mean, obviously, I don't think we need to put any more thought into that. That's just obvious.
Their lack of grey matter did little to elicit public sympathy. But more
I mean,
than
why would it?
actions of the Chijunpa, South Koreans were outraged by how passive law enforcement had been in handling the situation. This sparked widespread backlash, leading the government to make an example out of the gangsters. After a speedy trial, which concluded on October 31st, all the male members of the Chijunpa were found guilty and sentenced to death.
Oh, death penalty. Didn't know South Korea had that. I'm assuming the woman's getting off, like the girlfriend who joined last second, didn't get anything because she just joined, and she was just like the girlfriend. No reason to do too much to her. I would assume that she still needs like some time, since she, of course, is she was like the girlfriend of these guys, which means she probably knows what's going on. She was at their base, hanging out, doing the day-to-day stuff, day-to-day chores, so there's no way she didn't know what was going on. So just letting it happen, I'm pretty sure, isn't okay in the eyes of the law.
Only the female member, Lee Kyung-suk, was spared, as she hadn't personally taken part in any of the slayings.
Yeah.
She was given a 3-year sentence. 1 year.
Maybe a bit long.
For every day she had been a member of the Chijunpa.
3 days. She was only there for 3 days, and she got 3 years for it.
The others were hanged on November 2nd, 1995.
Hanging? That's how they did it back in the 90s with them? Jesus.
Thankfully, prosecutors didn't indict Sun Young, recognizing that her involvement was under coercion. To keep her out of the public eye, she was provided with a home and employment in the countryside. Unfortunately, the media tracked her down and hounded her for interviews for years thereafter, with journalists desperate to ask her disgusting questions like, what does human meat taste like? She would later criticize the near-total lack of meaningful aftercare for crime victims in South Korea. In 2020, it was reported that Sun Young was battling late-stage cancer. Contrary to online speculation, a 2024 broadcast confirmed that she was still alive, had converted to Catholicism, and was still working on finding peace. Even with all the core members of the Chijunpa now gone, the memory of their actions still lingers. The town of Pulgab, where their lair once stood, carries a deep shame, and though the pink house has since been demolished, the horror committed there isn't so easily erased. For years, South Korea debated whether these monsters were made rather than born, and a lot of blame was cast on violent media.
Really? We're pulling the old violent media makes people violence. Song and dance, even in Korea. We're doing that there as well. It's not just an American thing. Yeah, he's saying horror movies. Like, horror movies make you do it. The music makes you do it. The video games make you do it. Yada, yada, yada. We've heard this song and dance 1,000 times.
Were censored, and FPS video games were banned from release altogether. Near the end of the 90s, it was broadly accepted that the censorship had gone too far, and that the group's madness was rooted in something darker than pixelated gore. As has become clear, the Chijunpa were rebels with a cause, but without any conviction. They wanted to devour the rich, but all they ever consumed were innocent lives and their own humanity. And 3 decades on, the nation is still digesting what that says about the society which made them.
I don't know if I knew what they were, but their name sounds very familiar. Even if I've never heard like a single detail about them, that name just sounds so familiar. Yeah, it's just notification. Like, click the bell, subscribe, whatever. Animation here. Before we get to the last story. The Sting.
Rachel Morningstar Hoffman was
Morningstar? You got to have Morningstar as your middle name? Hello? Why do you get to have Morningstar as your middle name?
a 23-year-old psychology grad from Tallahassee with a bright future. Smart, bubbly, and known for her fun-loving spirit, she was voted party animal of senior class in high school. That reputation followed her to Florida State University, where she regularly indulged in the devil's lettuce, something that in today's world might get you a slap on the wrist.
I'm guessing it means marijuana.
Or no punishment at all, depending where you live. But this was early 2000s Florida, and the law wasn't so forgiving. In spite of her recreational habits, Rachel thrived at college. She earned her bachelor's degree in psychology in 2007 and had plans to attend culinary school the following semester.
Had plans to attend culinary school.
Not as a fallback, mind you, but as part of an ambitious new idea. To pioneer a form of therapy built around cooking and communal eating. She believed that therapy didn't have to happen in a stuffy office. It could happen over a cutting board, a stovetop, a shared meal. That vision, however, would never come to pass.
Yeah, I mean, we already knew something was going to happen because he's speaking about her too much in the past tense, so something must have happened to her. That's what I was getting at with the planned to go to culinary school, etc., etc.
In April 2008, Rachel was busted for possessing several ounces of Mary Jane and 6 tablets of E.
Okay. Ecstasy as well.
She refused to name her supplier. But instead of letting the charge run its course, police saw an opportunity. Specifically, Tallahassee police officer Ryan Pender took note of Rachel's clean-cut image, her lack of criminal history, and her deep fear of jail time, and decided that she would make the perfect pawn. And so, Pender presented her with a deal.
Okay, a deal that's going to get her killed, probably. So, I kind of feel like we already see where this is going. She gets a deal to out her dealers. Her dealers happen to be probably some high-profile thugs, and she's killed because of it.
Face felony charges and possible prison time, or go undercover in a sting operation to bust some actual hardened criminals. Rachel felt trapped. Her future was on the line after all, and so she agreed. The briefing was short and to the point. Rachel's targets were 2 convicted felons and dealers.
I mean, you've already gone too far. Convicted felons. Bye. No.
Dre Green and his brother-in-law, Daniello Bradshaw. Her mission? Meet with them at Bradshaw's house while wearing a wire. Buy 1,500 E's, 2 ounces of Coca-Cola, and a semi-auto handgun.
Coca-Cola. Because he means cocaine, so... I wonder how bad this video is going to be for me, because I'm just saying all the bad words that YouTube doesn't like.
In exchange for $13,000 in marked bills, and return to police headquarters. Rachel had never handled a gun, never bought hard substances in her life, and had 0 training in undercover work.
Yeah, again, I don't see this going good at all. Because it's like, really, not to go there, but like, gonna send this clean-cut, innocent, little white woman into this drug den to go get a bunch of ecstasy, a bunch of cocaine, and buy a gun? Really? That was the plan? That was the plan?
And yet, she had just been assigned to the largest sting in the department's history. Pender reassured her that the operation would go smoothly. That 19...
I mean, like, it takes like a fraction of a second to pull out a gun and kill somebody. Hello?
officers would be watching. That she was totally safe. She wasn't.
No, duh. Again, fraction of a second to pull a gun and kill somebody.
On the evening of May 7th, police wired Rachel's purse and sent her off alone to meet the dealers. Dressed in blue jeans, a Grateful Dead t-shirt, and black flip-flops, she hopped in her silver Volvo and set off towards Bradshaw's. But almost immediately, things went sideways. While en route, Green and Bradshaw called Rachel and changed the meeting location to Forest Meadows, a nearby park. Rachel, assuming the police were still tracking her, went along with the change.
Okay, so they changed the plans ahead of time, and the way that Masquerade worded that means that the police stopped tracking her for some god-awful reason, and now things are all going to go south. So once again, we have cops are doing stupid stuff again, back to back. But at least this time, it's not Korea.
But the area was dense with trees.
Yeah, you're not getting out of there. Like, that's like the worst place. It was like a park out in the open, sure, but if we're going to just basically, essentially a forest to do this deal, I mean, that's it. It's over.
And the chopper following her overhead lost sight of her.
And you're making all that noise up in the air where they can see that? Like, hello? Obvious.
Other officers later admitted that they had assumed someone still had eyes on Rachel, so nobody scrambled to find her, and, still believing that she was being watched, was told to continue with the operation. After a second change in location, Rachel drove towards a nearby plant nursery, about 1.5 miles north of the park. Minutes later,
I mean, they probably know she is being tracked and wired. I don't know about the wire, but at least being tracked, and thus are making her drive all over the place to confuse whoever is following her, if they're that smart.
her wire malfunctioned. According to Officer Pender, Hoffman eventually reached him at just before 7 p.m. and said, "I followed them from the nursery. We're on Gardner. It's a dead-end street." He claims to have told her, "Turn around. Turn around. Do not follow them." But the line went dark. Either Rachel hung up, said Pender, or the signal was lost. That's despite the fact that at that same time, Rachel managed to send one final text to her concerned boyfriend. "It's about to go down." By the time officers located and arrived on Gardner Road, Rachel and her car were long gone. In their place, a spent .25 caliber casing, 2 live rounds, and a single black flip-flop. Hours passed with no word from Rachel. The police floated the idea that maybe she had vanished with the money.
Really? Vanished with the money? When you've seen bullet casing, like we'll say 2 bullets were fired, and she left a flip-flop behind. Like, really? What is with like the incompetence back to back to back?
Later that day, they went to her boyfriend's house, expecting to find her there. But she wasn't. 2 days after Rachel vanished, a body was discovered in a vine-choked ravine near Perry, Florida, a quiet town about 50 miles southeast of Tallahassee. It belonged to confidential informant number 112, aka Rachel Hoffman, wrapped up in her own shirt and a bright orange and purple sleeping bag. She had been shot 5 times in the chest and head with the very gun that the police had sent her to purchase. After the exchange went south, Green and Bradshaw forced her into a stolen BMW, executed her in transit, and tossed her like garbage.
And we all know where this is going. As soon as we knew she was going to put on the sting, she was dead. Like, the cops just being incompetent. It's weird to have so many incompetent back-to-back stories, but I mean, of course they have to be for things to go badly, right? Because we have it in the Itaewon story, again, spoilers for that one, in the video that will be going up live after this. The Sting one, and then, of course, the cult here. Just can't do anything right.
Both men were later arrested and admitted to killing Rachel after finding the wire in her purse. They'd suspected something shady was going on from the start. After being found out, Rachel cried into the wire for help, but her screams went unheard. On what would have been Rachel's 25th birthday, Daniello Bradshaw was convicted of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life without parole, plus 30 additional years. Dre Green pled no contest to second degree and received the same. The grand jury also took the rare step of publicly rebuking the inept Tallahassee Police Department. Tallahassee PD, meanwhile, went into damage control. Police Chief Dennis Jones even went on ABC News and painted Rachel as a lowlife.
What? What?
Yes, he said. I'm calling her a criminal.
Rachel Hoffman was committing crimes in the city of Tallahassee. Yes, she was. That's my job as a police chief, is to find these criminals in our community and to take them off the street, to make the proper arrest.
That's in spite of her having never been charged with a crime or having had her day in court. He also went on to blame her for her own murder.
Oof. Is anything going to happen to these guys? Because I feel like the city of Tallahassee would go psycho on these guys for saying such things. I would hope so.
Stating that she deviated from the original plan by meeting the targets on Gardner Road.
The plan that we had in place was deviated from. It was a change of plans. And unfortunately, Rachel decided to deviate from that plan and not meet at the predetermined location.
If she's going off the plan, and she's deviating, or she's nervous, or she's making mistakes, she's a 23-year-old recent college graduate, why didn't your officers move in right then and there and shut the whole thing down?
That would have been ideal.
Why didn't you do it?
Brian, again, the ideal situation.
No, but my question is, why didn't that happen? Have you asked that simple question?
I haven't asked that question because that's what we're finding out in the investigation.
Why wouldn't you ask that question? Isn't that the whole point here?
When I'm given a chance to ask that question, I will ask that question.
How long has it been since she died?
This took place 2 months after the incident, so I mean, he's had 2 months to figure out why things didn't go into the ideal situation.
How long has it been? May the 7th.
Rachel's friends and family didn't let that stand. They fought back, hard. They reminded the public that Rachel had no relationship with the suspects, no knowledge of firearms, no training for what she had been asked to do. They forced the department to admit that she had been catastrophically unprepared, entirely unprotected, and that they had broken guidelines by blackmailing her. Eventually, several officers involved were suspended, with pay. An Officer Pender was fired. Only
Okay, so the main guy was fired, but others are just suspended with pay. I mean, suspended with pay just means you get to have a vacation and get money while you're on vacation.
to be rehired shortly thereafter.
And he get rehired anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Many question whether he really told Rachel to abandon the mission only for the wire to go dark, or whether he and his cronies only said that to cover their tracks. Rachel's parents filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city, eventually winning a $2.6 million settlement. And
Of course, the same thing that's always said during this, like the money does not bring the person back, right?
a formal
So it doesn't
apology
matter.
from the 19 officers involved, which, up to that point, they hadn't felt the need to give. But their biggest victory came in 2009, when Rachel's Law was signed into Florida state legislation. The law established strict protocols for recruiting and using confidential informants. It requires the police to assess an informant's risk, give them access to legal counsel, and, most importantly, actually protect them. Rachel's parents didn't just grieve. They took the worst moment of their lives and used it to stop other families from living the same nightmare. But nothing can undo what happened. Rachel's death was a preventable failure. A young woman was coerced into a dangerous job she had no business doing, all because it was convenient for the police to use her. And then they failed her in every conceivable way.
Again, we're just getting like back-to-back incompetent police officers. I'm guessing this in. We have a, well, I guess it's only a minute long end of this video.
A huge thank you to my supporters here on YouTube.
Okay, so it's just the outro. Is his mask
and over
still
on
messed up?
Patreon,
It is.
especially my biggest supporters.
Yeah, the back of his mask is dealing with backface culling, which is like a 3D thing. It's being culled so you can see through the mask, which I don't know if he really wants that to be the case or not, but maybe it was, but otherwise that's a mistake that needs to be fixed. Yeah, oofulness. So we had the, oh yeah, this party monster drug stuff, just killing a guy, not being remorseful over it. Ended up overdosing anyways, but still. Then these cannibals just doing bad for the sake of bad and pretending that they're doing it. Well, I mean, they're not pretending they're being good, but they're just doing bad things, saying that the bad things they're going to do is going to make the world a better place. And that's not it either. I don't know. They're just bad. Bad people. They're dead now. And this just complete incompetence on the police's side. They should have gotten in trouble for more than that, because again, a bunch of police officers got just paid vacation, and then the guy who did get fired got rehired back anyway, so it doesn't matter. He lost a couple paychecks probably, and then immediately got hired back. So just completely just oof of a story, except for the fact that they at least put a new law into place, so this wouldn't happen again. Yeah, again, that is the 3 disturbing cases that will make you question humanity. Again, this was like an emergency reaction since it just went up. I mean, it's been an hour and 16 minutes now, so this video just went up an hour and a half ago from Masquerade. So we're getting a day 1 reaction to this video. Again, I don't know if that's morally okay. I don't know if it's just normal to do day 1 reactions to things. I feel like I was kind of doing that with the anime, wasn't I? Once I got caught up with the anime, I was just reacting to it the day after. Yeah, I would react to it technically, or upload it technically the day after. But of course, we're not doing anime stuff anymore because I got a strike for that. So I'm just like not dealing with anime anymore. Yeah, I probably will try to do this more often if I see like a Crowley video go up. I'll try to get a day 1 exclusive reaction to that if I end up seeing it. I'll have to end up paying attention constantly. I don't know, but this just popped up on the timeline, so I immediately decided to record, even though I don't think I was going to do that. I'm pretty tired as is, but I will get this up by 6 o'clock today, so a few hours from now. And of course, you all have the Itaewon Halloween after this to look forward to as well. We have a double feature today because of this being a surprise hot off the presses reaction. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers, think about becoming a member, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so we can watch them and subscribers. And don't forget we have a throw now, and shout out to the members, EmmyStarr and RaleyDrew. I don't think we didn't quite make it to how long I usually want these videos to be, because it's what? For 40, his video is 42 minutes, so we're looking at like an 84-minute long video that I would like to have, and we only have, so that's what, like an hour and 24. Yeah, we should have had like an hour and 24-minute video, and this is only an hour and 18, so we're just shy of double. I mean, there's only so much I can try to interject with here and there, but that's close enough to being double, right? I don't know if there's anything else I want to talk about. In Nexpo, I said this at the beginning of the Itaewon video, but we might do some Nexpo stuff, which it was coincidentally I had already re-come across them the other day when a viewer mentioned them. The Lovely Galaxy 4541, which I say in the Itaewon video. I don't necessarily know how to pronounce the beginning of that name, so I'm sorry. They had mentioned Nexpo, and it was just so coincidental that I had literally remembered about Nexpo earlier that day, and then they also brought up Nexpo later. But yeah, it's like they were one of the ones I think I was watching normally too, with Masquerade and Nick Crowley, like before I started doing reactions on the channel. But I completely forgot about them. Same thing with Blame It on Jorge, I forgot about him too. I don't know how I completely erased those two from my mind, and now I've just remembered that they exist because I started doing this series, so we have them back on the menu, or on the menu to begin with now, if I want to get to it. We are doing a double feature today, so maybe we'll do a double feature tomorrow, if I have it in me. I think doing 2 reaction videos like this basically means my entire day is just making videos and uploading them, which is kind of rough, but that's just the game, right? So guys, thanks for watching. Tune into the next episode. Like, subscribe, comment. You know the do. See ya.